Well, friends, it looks like I'm live. By gum, by tiddlywinks. How exciting. I am a little disappointed to report, though, that I'm having to use my laptop, which apparently the microphone isn't very good at. But when I tried to start this on my phone or on my iPad, they both said that they couldn't access the microphone for some reason. I know the camera is working, and I got tired of trying to figure it out. So here it is. I'm on the restream. I think I'll be able to even see if people are watching and how many people might be watching, maybe somehow, some way. I've got the Facebook page over here, I think. This is why I sign in a few minutes early, folks, just to get this stuff going correctly, hopefully correctly. Yes, okay. I see on my cell phone that there are people watching. 4 of you. Hello out there. So I'm going to try to refer to this as little as possible. I can actually see Jeffrey Blackman. Okay, I can see that here on the main screen. So maybe I don't have to have these other things open. I am learning how to do this, folks, and my technology is only going to get better. I have established a Patreon, for those of you who don't know yet, and I haven't posted anything to it yet, but I'm going to learn how to do that, how to do the same. So it's actually right now a little bit before noon, isn't it? 11:57, so I'm going to take a few minutes here to tune the banjo. And this time I think I can tell you even before the show begins. Usually I'm 10 or 15 minutes into this before I remember that to tell you that I have a PayPal at my email address, dan@banjerdan.net, and you can always just write to me there and say hello. BanjerDan.net is also my web page, such as it is, that will also receive an update. And if you use Venmo to tip your favorite musicians, here's my Venmo address, at Dan-Mazer-1. Yes, I'm touching myself with my hands. Because I can see this right here, try to watch, but hanging with the wife today. Well, thanks. Hi, Jeff. And hello to your wife as well. The thing is that the camera is right there, but I tend to want to look at what I'm doing right there. So I think it's probably like I have to get used to looking at you here. Hi, little eye. Hello. Right? That's where you actually are. So I've got the song list here of 300 or so songs that I've been working my way through, unless I see requests coming up there. Well, hi, Dusty from Germany. Hello. So nice to see you. Yes, indeed. Those of you who only know me as a hippie folk musician might not be aware that I used to be in a band called the Wayward Drifters, playing a kind of outlaw, honky-tonk, scary music. And so I have some friends who are Rather surprising for a bluegrass banjo player. Well, it's good to see all of y'all. Or actually, I can't see any of you, so I just have to trust that you see me. I can see Matt or Mark. Hello, Mark. Sorry, my eyes aren't any better. But at least I can see comments right here on my screen directly. So if you want to request a song, etc., 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 let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to BanjerDan's Shelter at Home Show number 15. Today is the 10th of May, 2020. Welcome to all y'all who are here, all y'all who are going to visit. As always, I start the BanjerDan's show by saying, wow, banjos rock! And then playing an Earl Scruggs instrumental. And in this case, it's Earl's Breakdown. There you go, friends. And I just noticed as I'm watching this that you can't see my right hand, so I adjusted the camera a little bit. I had that comment once that you don't show enough of the right hand. What's that? Hi, Dean. Oh, well, thank you, Dean. Good to see you. And Robin, two of my friends from Burning Man. Well, as I explained in my post about this show, unless I see requests or questions about technique, etc., on my feed right here that I can respond to, in order to keep from going into a rut, I've been working my way through my song list. And so I am up to just about El Paso, and it's been making me really nervous to have to start the show with El Paso, because that's a hell of a song. And no one can sing it as well as Marty Robbins, and certainly not I. And I'm looking desperately at my list of instrumentals, and I see the excerpt of Eine kleine Nacht music that I worked out, oh God, damn near 30 years ago, I think. And do I remember it? It's been that long. I'm sorry. Left out the whole development section because I don't know it at all, but I could almost hum it. It's been a long time. So that was Eine Kleine Nachtmusik. And then in a desperate attempt to avoid doing El Paso first, it suddenly occurred to me that I didn't have Columbus Stockade Blues, dropping all the way back to the C's, but that was not on my song list. So I went and looked it up, and I learned it from the Country Gentlemen, and I guess they might have gotten it from Bill Monroe. And of course, it's an old song. It's a blues. It's a traditional old song. So I started trying to work my way through it, and I found out that the key that it suits my voice in is E flat. If you can say anything suits this voice, but I do what I can with the instrument I got, right? Way down in Columbus, Georgia, wanna be back in Tennessee. Way down in Columbus Stockade, friends have turned their backs on me. Darling, leave me if you wish to, never let it cross your mind. If in your heart you love another, leave me, darling, I don't mind. Many nights with you I rambled, countless hours with you I spent. I thought I had your love forever, but now I know it's only Lent. Go and leave me if you wish to, never let me cross your mind. If in your heart you love another, leave me, darling, I don't mind. You could almost see the wheels turning on that one, couldn't you? Last night, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms. When I awoke, I was mistaken. I was peeking through the bars. Go and leave me if you wish to. Never let me cross your line. And in your heart, you love another. Leave me, darling, I don't mind. Way down in Columbus, Georgia, want to be back in Tennessee. Way down in Columbus Stockade, friends have turned their backs on me. Go and leave me if you wish to. Never let me cross your mind. In your heart, you love another. Leave me, darling, I don't mind. If in your heart, you love another. Leave me, darling, I don't mind. There you go, friends, the Columbus Stockade Blues, complete with a key change that I threw in with no practice and no knowledge of forethought. Sorry, I had to scratch my nose there, but maybe I did think when I was working up the tune, thinking about it in my head, I might have thought that I would change the key, but I didn't rehearse it, that's for sure. So what do we got here? Hi, Mark. You love classical music? I'm going to try it again. Yeah, I had the whole first violin part worked out. In fact, for the first three movements, I worked out the first violin part on the banjo, and I have a tablature of it somewhere, up until the fourth movement when it starts going all those turns. I didn't know how to write them out. I can't understand that fourth movement of Eine kleine Nachtmusik is killer. But I really love the third music. Okay, enough of that. Robin Pender says hello. What about it? Replying to Dean Schold. Yeah, gonna miss you guys this year as well. Man, it sucks not to have Burning Man this year. Kind of bummed, although the fixer did say something about a virtual burn, and I have to get some kind of software called Acapella. Here's what I'm working on. I got my check from the government, actually, my first one. So I have some work to be done on my RV tomorrow and a couple of days in an Airbnb while they do that. And then with whatever I have left, I've got to get Sibelius, which is a music writing and tablature program, so that I can start putting out some legible tablatures. And then I need to upgrade my microphone and camera equipment because I have a Patreon page now, Patreon, and that way people can start helping support me while I create some exclusive content, which is going to be banjo lessons. This is going to be stuff that I will not share on Facebook or YouTube because it'll be paid content. You will have exclusive access to ask me detailed questions about technique and music theory. And I will start with the very basics, just like I do at Burning Man, of just how to sit with the banjo, how to put your right hand on the banjo, how to be relaxed, and then the first couple of strokes. And I will spend plenty of time just playing the stuff really slow for you over and over again, the way I did when I was a teenager, so that you can play along with me for more than just one or two measures. I'll give you several, at least a minute of just playing the simple roll at a slow pace so that you can follow along with me. So that'll be on my Patreon. And so now I don't think I can avoid El Paso anymore, friends. It's back to my list. I've actually had people request this, so I guess it's like this, friends. Any of you who are artists and musicians can probably, hello, Irene. Any of you who are artists or musicians, and you can relate to this, that whenever you're performing or you're doing your art in your head, you hear a really perfect version of what you're doing, or you hear the artist who inspired you to play the banjo or take up painting. And you see that in your mind's eye, you hear it in your mind's ear, and you're always thinking how much better the original was. And in this case, who can top Marty Robbins, right? No one. But I do love this song, and I learned it from the Grateful Dead first, actually. Out in the West Texas town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl. Nighttime would find me at Rosa's Cantina. Music would play and Felina would whirl. Blacker than night were the eyes of Felina, wicked and evil while casting a spell. My love was strong for that Mexican maiden. I was in love, but in vain I could tell. One night a wiry young cowboy came in, wild as the West Texas wind. Dashing and daring, a drink he was sharing with wicked Felina, the girl that I loved. So in anger, I challenged his right to the love of Felina. Down went his hand for the gun that he wore. The challenge was answered in less than a heartbeat. The handsome young stranger lay dead on the floor. Just for a moment I stood there in silence, shocked by the foul evil thing that I'd done. Many thoughts raced through my mind as I stood there. I had but one chance, and that was to run. Out of the back door of Rosa's I ran, out where the horses were tied. I picked a good one, it looked like it could run. Up on its back and away I did ride, just as fast as I could from the West Texas town of El Paso out to the Badlands of New Mexico. Back in El Paso, my life would be worthless. Everything's gone in life, nothing's left. But it's been so long since I've seen my Felina. My love is stronger than my fear of death. So I saddle up and away I do go, riding alone in the dark. Maybe tomorrow a bullet will find me, but tonight nothing's worse than this pain in my heart. So at last here I am on the hill overlooking El Paso. I can see Rosa's Cantina below. My love love is strong and it pushes me onward. Down off that hill to Felina I go. Off to my left I see 5 mounted cowboys. Off to my right ride a dozen or more. Shouting and shooting, I can't let them catch me. I've got to make it to Rosa's back door. Something is dreadfully wrong, for I feel a deep burning pain in my side. Though I am trying to stay in the saddle, I'm getting weary, unable to ride. But my love for Felina is strong, so I rise where I've fallen. Though I am weary, I can't stop to rest. I see the white puff of smoke from the rifle. I feel the bullet go deep in my chest. From out of nowhere, Felina has found me, kissing my cheek as she kneels by my side. Cradled by 2 loving arms that I'll die for. One little kiss and Felina, goodbye. There we go, folks. For better or worse, that was El Paso with a giggly fit right in the middle. Forgot what key I was in. Hello. Let's see. What do we got? Irene? Oh, look, there's more people on here. Hello. How are you, Dean? Yes. Good, everybody. Nice to see you here. Wow, people who know each other. How about that? Well, this is a small world. So that was El Paso. Going back to the lists. You may request songs. I can see your comments now, folks, on Facebook and YouTube and wherever you're posting them. They come up on my screen here, so please let me know what your thoughts. Faded Love. Am I really going to do Faded Love? Maybe not, but I might do it instrumentally. Maybe I'll do that. But first. This is a mandolin tune called EMD. There was a film, I think Ronnie Howard's first film, called Eat My Dust, and David Grisman did the soundtrack for it. This is one of those ones that I don't generally lead. Someone says, hey, let's play EMD, and I say, yeah, I know it. No. Probably a little too fast, and just kind of working out through the chords. Every time I hear that chord progression, I always think of the King of Marigold is in the kitchen cooking breakfast for the Queen. The Queen is in the parlor playing piano for the children of the King. Cry, baby, cry, make your mother sigh. All right, enough of that. What's next, EMD? Faded Love. All right. Why not? I got through it. Yay! That has some really beautiful lyrics. As you read the letter that you wrote to me. It's just way out of my range in the proper key that it was sung in by Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys. And I decided not to try to sing it. Not today. Not right now. So continuing on through my song list, unless I see a request, I see a few people are watching. Let me check on the cell phone for a second here. It says there are 8 of you all around the world. Thank you, all 8. By gum, I really appreciate you being here. As I head through my song list, the next one is another ballad. I have a certain fair and tender lady watching me from a beautiful island with her private beach and hot tub, and I am so jealous. So this is for you. Come all ye fair and tender ladies, take warning how you court your men. They're like a star on a summer morning. First they appear, and then they're gone. They'll tell to you some loving story and make you think that they love you well. Then away they'll go and court another and leave you there in grief to dwell. I wish I was a little sparrow and had wings to fly so high. I'd fly to the arms of my false true lover, and when he'd ask, I would deny. Come all ye fair and tender ladies, take warning how you court your men. They're like a star on a summer's morning. They first appear, and then they're gone. They're like a star on a summer's morning. First they appear, and then they're gone. There you have it, friends. Fair and tender ladies. Come all you fair and tender ladies. I just thought of the guy on the steps in Animal House who's singing, I gave my love a cherry that had no stone. Da, 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 da. And then John Belushi just smashes his guitar against the wall. Yes, I was the sad folk singer. And you know the difference between a folk singer and a puppy, friends? Eventually the puppy will stop whining. Have we got more friends saying anything? Hi. So am I getting the impression that a bunch of you folks who are on my friends list know each other and you didn't know that you know me? Is that what's going on? I'm trying to follow the comments here. Eric Starr, how you doing, brother? Yeah, man, miss you too. We had some good picking parties at your house, didn't we? Although I wouldn't describe my mental health at the time as the best, frankly. But when has it ever been all that high? So, looks like I've got a bunch of, yeah, I have another ballad. What can I tell you, friends? And I'll do some variety here and change the key into the key of B. This is one I learned from the Seldom Seen. This one actually comes dangerously close to being a gospel song, and it's actually on the Seldom Seen's album called Baptizing. And I kind of let this one go because there's no direct religious reference to any one religion. It does kind of talk about having an afterlife, which there's no evidence of that. But nonetheless, it's a really nice sentiment in the song, and I like it. It's called Fallen Leaves. Fallen leaves that lie scattered on the ground, the birds and flowers that were here cannot be found. All the friends that he once had are not around. They're all scattered like the leaves upon the ground. Let my eyes see every need of every man. Make me always stop and lend a helping hand. So when I'm laid beneath that little grassy mound, there'll be more friends around than leaves upon the ground. Some folks drift along through life and never thrill to the feeling a good deed brings until it's too late and they're ready to lie down there beneath the leaves scattered on the ground. To your grave there's no use taking any gold. You can't use it when it's time for hands to fold. When you leave this world for a better home someday, The only things you'll take are what you gave away. Fallen leaves that lie scattered on the ground. The birds and flowers that were here cannot be found. All the friends he ever had are not around. They're all scattered like the leaves upon the ground. Folks, I sure hope you liked that sentimental ballad right there. Yes, I scratched my nose because it itches, but I didn't use my filthy fingers. 12:42, been almost an hour. Can you believe it, friends? I certainly can. Been having a great time here playing for you. I hope you've enjoyed it a little bit as well. Before I switch back to the banjo to play the Farewell Blues, which is the next song on the list, I will remind you folks that I am one of the many musicians and artists out here in the world who have lost sources of income. Things are not as bad for me as some other folks who have lost their paying jobs, because all I've ever really done is play gigs for tips and play for whatever, the club owners would pay. So I'm still in that mode right now. Pretty much this is how I've always made my living. If you enjoy what I do, I hope you will go to my Venmo, Dan-Mazer, Mazer, -1, or you can make a donation on PayPal at my email address, dan@BanjerDan.net. And I have a Patreon coming up where I'm going to be presenting exclusive content, banjo lessons and stuff like that. So please become a patron at Patreon. And very soon I'm going to start posting there. So meanwhile, back down the list. Next few tunes are all instrumental tunes associated with Earl Scruggs, as it turns out. This is, it's called the Farewell Blues. Apparently, Earl picked it up from Duke Ellington's band and taught it to his country band, Lester Flatt, Earl Scruggs, and the Foggy Mountain Boys. And it just goes to show you how creative Earl Scruggs was in his mind to hear Duke Ellington play and think, I could make a banjo, a rolling instrumental out of that. So let's see what Earl did, as best I can play it. Woo! A little bit of the farewell blues. Bill Monroe kind of established the bluegrass formula as guitar and bass were the basic rhythm section, with the mandolin playing the offbeats, fiddle and banjo basically playing the leads and carrying various percussive elements of the band when they weren't playing lead. Lester Flagg and Earl Scruggs had a bass player named Josh Graves, and Burkett was his real name, but he called himself Uncle Josh, Josh Graves. And Josh was actually a really, really fine dobro player. He had worked with Wilma Lee and Stoney Cooper. And but I guess Lester Flagg and Earl Scruggs, they were real good, hardworking professionals. They were at the top of their game. They hired Josh to play bass and do the comedy and do some of the MC work. And then one day they said to him, Earl said, say, Josh, we were thinking about maybe moving you to dobro and letting you play dobro in the band unless you'd prefer to play the bass. And of course, Josh said, well, he would love to play the dobro. And I'm not going to play this tune on the dobro because I can't. It's really, really difficult. Josh Graves wrote it, and he had the advantage of being right there next to Earl the whole time and really absorbing Earl's rolling pattern. The dobro is tuned the same as the banjo pretty much, basically. So Josh was able to develop some of these patterns. I'm doing them kind of fast, but backwards and forwards would be like this. That's using that rolling pattern in a pretty simple way. So Josh Graves wrote this tune called Fireball, and then Earl Scruggs had a version of a Roy Acuff tune called the Fireball Male. So I'm going to try to string them together because they're in the same key. Wow, banjos rock. Well, I realized that I went a little bit out of order on my list because I had the instrumentals listed separately from the vocals. So before I did Fireball or Fireball Male, I should have done Fire and Rain. It's one you all know. One that I do in the wrong key, on the wrong instrument. But I hope you like my little version of Fire and Rain by James Taylor. Just yesterday morning, they let me know you were gone. Suzanne, the plans they made put an end to you. I walked out this morning and I wrote down this song. Just can't remember who to send it to. Lord, I've seen fire and I've seen rain. Seen sunny days that I thought would never end. Seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you again. Won't you look down upon me, Jesus? Gotta help me take a stand. You got to see me through another day. My body is aching and my time is at hand. I won't make it any other way. Lord, I've seen fire and I've seen rain. Seen sunny days that I thought would never end. Seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you In walking my mind to an easy time, my back turned toward the sun. Lord knows when the cold wind blows, it'll turn your head around. 'Cause hours of time on the telephone line, talking about things to come. Sweet dreams and flying machines in pieces on the ground. Lord, I've seen fire and I've seen rain. Seen sunny days that I thought would never end. Seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you, babe. one more time again. Thought I'd see you one more time again. Just a few things coming my way this time around. Thought I'd see you one more time again. Fire and rain. Woo! There you go, friends. I hope you enjoyed that a little bit, and I hope you can appreciate how difficult it was to get through that song with an itchy nose and a sneeze. Hey, how you doing? Shorty, you're back. Good to see you, brother. What's next on the list? Aha. Hold on. I got to make sure this is correct. Next on the list is definitely the Flint Hill Special, friends. Which means that I have to check with you and chat with you for a second. Because I got to set my Scruggs tuners. This is one that Earl wrote to take advantage of his fancy Scruggs pegs. Last time I played Earl's Breakdown, I told the story about how when Earl recorded the Earl's Breakdown, he did that part by ear. And so he, as I said, he did it by ear. He untuned the string like that, by ear. Then, so the story goes, Earl's wife Louise came into the kitchen one day, and Earl had his banjo out on the kitchen counter, and he was drilling through the peg head here and here. He was actually, or maybe around there, drilling through the peg head of his Gibson banjo, because he had this idea. And what he did was he installed a kind of a pressure thing here that when he turned a knob on the back that looked like a tuning knob, but it wasn't. He turned this thing and it would press up against the string, kind of like this, except that way, sideways, like that, right? So that was his idea for a Scruggs tuner. And then Bill Keefe, a wonderful banjo player and transcriber and banjo thinker, just an amazing musician, he came up with an idea, he and his friend Dan Bump, of how to get inside the tuning mechanism. And you see these things right there. Those actually get inside the gears of the tuning mechanism and stop them from turning on the inside. And these were marketed as Scruggs tuners for a while, but unfortunately Bill Keefe and the Scruggs family had a falling out over several issues. So they're still basically called Scruggs tuners, which means that Bill Keefe and Dan Bump don't get some of the credit they deserve. But I just gave it to them, so there you have it. Why, Suzanne, hello, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for coming. So, I'll tell you one other thing before I play the Flint Hill Special, which is these are sometimes also called detuners, because if you've done them right, if you've done it right, you go from G tuning to D tuning. I have to admit, I don't use the Scruggs pegs often because I think they're kind of persnickety. I like them as tuning pegs, but once you set the up and down note, then it can be a little hard to manipulate. So after all that talking, how about a little bit of picking? Lester Flatt said this is a tune where Earl does a little bit of tuning and a whole lot of picking. It goes like this. That's the Flint Hill Special, folks. Next on the list after Flint Hill Special is a tune that I co-wrote along with my friend and ex-wife, Mary Jalot. We were trying to find a way to combine the joyful feelings of Christmas and Halloween together. So we rewrote Frosty the Snowman to be about a zombie. All right, Flopsy the Dead Man. Oh, Flopsy the Dead Man was a dear departed soul, with a torn windpipe and a rotten nose, and his eyes were sunken holes. Flopsy the Dead Man was a scary tale, they say. He had gone to hell, but the ghoulies tell how he came to life one day. There must have been some maggots in those crusty pants he wore, for when he shook his bony leg, they would fall out on the floor. For Flopsy, the dead man, was alive as he could be, and the zombies say he could laugh and play just the same as you and me. Flopsy, the dead man, knew the sun was hot that day, so he said, let's run and we'll have some fun now before I rot away. Down to the village, with the buzzards circling low, he ran here and there all around the square, and he tossed each one a toe. He led them down the streets of town, right to the mausoleum, and they only paused a moment when they heard an awful scream. For Flopsy, the dead man, was the scavenger's buffet, but he waved the fire and said, don't you cry, I'll be back again someday. Ho, sluffity, sluff, sluff, sluffity, sluff, sluff, that's how Flopsy goes. Stuffity, sluff, sluff, sluffity, sluff, sluff, watch him decompose. All together, stuffity, sluff, sluff, stuffity, sluff, sluff, that's how Flopsy goes. Stuffity, sluff, sluff, stuffity, sluff, sluff, watch him decompose. He waved goodbye, saying, don't you cry, I'll be back again someday. Flopsy, the dead man, friends. They said it couldn't be done. They said it shouldn't be done, and that's exactly why I did it. Next on the list, what do we got? Folsom Prison Blues. Da, 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 dom, dom. All right. I haven't been all over the world, but I've been to Europe, and I went to Panama, and I went to Israel. And one thing that I have noticed is that no matter where you go, everybody loves Johnny Cash. Truly a worldwide phenomenon. Give me a moment here. I am checking my cell phone to see what time it is. I try not to extend these past 2 hours, friends, because I think I start to run out of steam. However, with this, I can tell that there are 4 people watching. Thank you, including Shorty, I guess, and Debbie Annan. Good to see you here. Dean is still here. All right, well, thank you. I'm glad you like that. Suzanne, please request some songs or make some comments and make sure that I know you're here. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your friends' neighbors, and your neighbors' friends all about the BanjerDan's show. I hear the train a-comin', it's coming around the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on, but that train keeps a-rolling on down to San Antonio. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns. But I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. Yelch. Now when I hear that lonesome whistle, I hang my head and cry. I'll bet there's rich folk eating in a fancy dining car. They're probably drinking coffee, smoking big cigars. But I know I had it coming. I never can be free. And all them people keep on moving. And that's what tortures me. If they free me from this prison, if that railroad train was mine, I bet I'd move it on just a little farther down the line, far from Folsom Prison. That's where I want to stay. And I let that lonesome whistle call my blues away. There we go. Yes, indeed, the Folsom Prison Blues. Let's see. Returning while playing, Dean. Foggy Mountain Breakdown. Oh my gosh, you're right. I forgot the Foggies. There are actually 3 Foggy tunes. All done, obviously, by Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs. And let me preface that by saying, why were Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs, why was their band called the Foggy Mountain Boys? And the reason for that was that they loved the Carter family. And I don't know all the words to the song, but there's a song. If I was on some foggy mountaintop, I'd sail away to the west. I'd sail all around this whole wide world to the girl that I love the best. If I'd only listened to what my mama said, I wouldn't be here today, just hanging around this old graveyard, weeping my poor life away. If you see that gal of mine, something that you ought to tell her, she should be home, not not hanging with some other feller. That, you see, I don't really know it. So anyway, I killed a little time by explaining why the band was called the Foggy Mountain Boys. Now I will play the Foggy Mountain Breakdown, the Foggy Mountain Rock, and the Foggy Mountain Special, all from Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs. So first is the Foggy Mountain Breakdown. All right, I'll just do it. Here we go. Wow, banjos rock! Yes. All right, there's the Foggy Mountain Breakdown. Couple of stories I can tell you about that really quick. That the reason that is in the Bonnie and Clyde movie that Warren Beatty produced and directed is because Warren Beatty was a classmate of Pete Kuykendall, and Pete was someone I knew, the publisher of Bluegrass Unlimited magazine, and a sometime member of the Country Gentlemen. He wrote I Am Weary, Let Me Rest, which ended up in the Oh Brother soundtrack. And so when Warren Beatty was getting ready to make the Bonnie and Clyde, he remembered a presentation that Pete Kuykendall had done in high school about bluegrass music, and contacted Earl Scruggs. The other thing I want to tell you is that maybe you heard the third solo where I went. That was a little quote of Columbia Gem of the Ocean. Columbia Gem of the Ocean. Earl threw that lick into the first recording of the Foggy Mountain Breakdown, and he said no one got it. And so he just dropped it. He stopped playing it. And the other thing that I would tell you about that is if you listened, one of the passes might have sounded a little different, where I went like this. You hear that note? This is a little inside tip I got from Julio Boysenberry, because Julio said, "Why to Earl? Why is it that in this one recording, a later recording of Foggy Mountain Breakdown, one of the solos sounds a little different?" Well, those of us who are deep into bluegrass culture know that very often Lester Flatt played an E major chord while Earl was playing an E minor. So you'd hear that coming out of the guitar. Everyone else in the band was playing, but you can hear that note in the guitar. So this one time on one solo, when Earl did the hammer on, he hammers on to a full E major chord. So, and it's very subtle, but that note is in there. And then he lifts off the finger to get the G natural note. I'm exaggerating. So there you go. There's the story of the Foggy Mountain breakdown. The Foggy Mountain Rock is a dobro tune that I'm not going to get the dobro out for. Had I been prepared, I might have done it. But it's essentially the Foggy Mountain special on the dobro with a little bit of a variation. So the Foggy Mountain Rock goes like this. Then the banjo comes in with. something like that. I can play the melody on the dobro, sort of, but it's hard to do the dobro part and the banjo part. And then the last of the Foggy tunes for this set is the Foggy Mountain Special, another Earl Scruggs tune. And he would play this kind of solo for a lot of his blues stuff. And it goes like this. The Foggy Mountain Special. And I get to turn my page around. And I get to turn this page around at the same time. I'm getting through the F's here. Next is another banjo tune. This one from Don Reno. Yep. Let's follow the leader. Follow the Leader by Don Reno. You like it when I put a long, twisty, melodic thing in the middle of a Scruggs tune, Scotty? Yeah. Playing the banjo is in the key of G is pretty easy, folks. Anyway, back to work. Don Reno. So Eddie Adcock makes a very strong claim to have come up with the single string style of banjo, which is a right hand thing. Let me get a little closer there. You see these two fingers going back and forth, thumb, index, index. Kind of as if you were holding a flat picking going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 across the string like that. Here you're just going across the string, one string, two fingers, like that. Anyway, so that's how Don Reno wrote this tune with that kind of guitarish style in mind. Follow the Leader. That was all slop. Scotty has a question. What was that last? Oh, are you talking about this melodic lick? This is the stuff I got from Ben Eldridge of the Seldom Scene and Bobby Thompson, great melodic banjo player. If you got your, first of all, here's a G major, G minor, right? Then the blues one, here's, remember that the pentatonic B flat scale is the same as the G blues scale. So in B flat, it's like that. In G, so you go. It's just a matter of jumping from this position to this position, kind of a B flat, and because B flat and G minor and all that, and then this is kind of a G minor, and then if you understand that the here's the B flat pentatonic. For the G blues, same notes, but we have this option playing the blues of adding a tritone in. So that's where you can get this. You add that C sharp or D flat. I think it was Pat Cloud showed me this really interesting thing where if you stick to your pentatonics, right, then in G you got G, A, B, A, B, A, B, D, B, D, E, D, E, G, E, G, A, G, A, B, A, B, D. So you can mess around with that quite a bit. You know, stuff like a. So that's a couple of ideas for all you banjo players out there who want to try to integrate that pentatonic scale into your stuff. So that's my answer to that question there, Scotty. So what's next on the list? Not 4. I'm not going to do that just yet. Oh no, I'm going to have to relearn 4. Footprints in the snow. All right. Debbie Annan, if you are still watching, this is the one you wanted me to do last time. I do it in the key of A. Bill Monroe sang it in D or E. Just shows you the difference in vocal quality there. And this is kind of fictional for me because I hate the cold weather, but this is a song about someone who likes the winter times. Here we go. Well, some folks like the summertime and they can stroll about, walking through the meadow green, it's pleasant there, no doubt. But give me the winter time when the snow is on the ground, for I found her where the snow lit on the ground. I traced little footprints in the snow. I found little footprints in the snow. Lord, at last that happy day, Nellie lost her way, for I found her where the snow lit on the Well, I went out to see her, there was a big round moon. Her mother said she just stepped out, but would be returning soon. I found her little footprints, and I traced them in the snow. I found her where the snow lit on the ground. I traced little footprints in the snow. I found her little footprints in the snow. Lord, alas, that happy day, Nellie lost her way, for I found her where the snow lit on the ground. Now she's up in heaven, she's with the angel band, and I know I'm going to join her in that promised land. Every time the snow falls, it brings back memories, for I found her when the snow was on the ground. I found her little footprints in the snow. I traced little footprints in the snow. Lord, at last that happy day, Nellie lost her way, for I found her where the snow lit on the ground. I bless that happy day, Nellie lost her way, for I found her where the snow lit on the ground. Ooh, there you go, friends. Footprints in the snow. I got some time left. Debbie, yes. Good to see you. Thanks. I'm glad you like that. Scotty. Hey, Scotty, did you notice that I was playing melodics in the key of A there? Oops, I'm in the wrong key. All right, enough of that. Oh, thank you. All right, so what's next on the list? Before 4. Oh my God. Uh-oh. 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 I've come upon a Beatles song. I tabbed this out once too. I'm going to get myself Sibelius, folks, and I'm going to get myself a printer. And so that Sibelius is a music and tablature writing software. Because I've been stuck in my room here in the RV, I've had some creative juices flowing recently. And I started working on stuff like the gonk, excuse me. Anyone recognize that? If you know, send a comment down there where the gonk comes from. And the other thing that I've started working on is it's called the Overture to the Three Penny Opera. It's a really cool melody, folks, and I'm gonna tab it out, but I just need a little bit of something besides my hand and paper to really figure this thing out. So I think I distracted you long enough. The day breaks, your mind aches. You find that all her words of kindness linger on when she no longer needs you. She wakes up, she makes up, she takes her time and doesn't feel she has to hurry. She no longer needs you, and in her eyes you see nothing. No sign of love behind the tears, cried for no one. A love that should have lasted years. You stay home, she goes out. She says that long ago she knew someone, but now he's gone, she doesn't need him. In her eyes you see nothing. No sign of love behind the tears, cried for no one. A love that should have lasted years. The day breaks, your mind aches. There will be times when all the things she said will fill your head. You won't forget her. And in her eyes you see nothing. No sign of love behind the tears, cried for no one. A love that should have lasted years. Folks, the next song on my list is 4 by Miles Davis, and it occurred to me that I haven't played it in quite a long time. Let me see what... Oh, there it is. I got to work that one out, folks. I will start next week, or what's today? Is Wednesday? Today is Sunday. So I'm going to work on 4, and that's the tune that I'll start with on Wednesday, okay? Evening. Da 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 da. Yeah, the second part, Scotty. Scotty, if you have this tune in the real book, check it out. It's really neat because the second part, the chord progression is really strange, but it works with that bizarre melody. Ba ba da da da, ba ba da da ba dum, ba ba da bum, ba ba da da da, ba ba da 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 dum, da 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 dum, da 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 dum. Da 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 da. Ba da 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 da. Da 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 da. So I'll work on that one, I promise. So having decided to skip through 4 for now, and the time is 1:45. So that means I got time for 2 more before my closing 2 numbers. Here's one that I recorded. It's written by Steve Stills. And I had the honor on this recording of having the great Mike Aldridge play dobro. It's kind of unusual in 2 ways. First of all, most banjo players would speed things up, but I play this slower and in a lower key than Steve Stills wrote it. And the other thing that's unusual is that on this recording, which I will make available again someday, of 4 and 20, the only instrumentation is banjo and dobro. And it's kind of interesting to think that those 2 would work together, but it's a very sparse arrangement, very spare, and I think it works beautifully with this lonesome, just incredibly sad song. Years ago, I come into this life, son of a woman and a man who lived in strife. He was tired of being poor, and he wasn't into selling door to door. And he worked like the devil to be more. A different kind of poverty now upsets me so. Night after sleepless night, I walk the floor and I want to know, why am I so alone? Where is my woman? Can I bring her home? I driven her away? Is she gone? Morning comes the sunrise, and I'm driven to my bed. I see that it is empty, Lord, and there's devils in my head. I embrace the many-colored beast. I grow weary of the torment. Can there be no peace? And I find myself just wishing that my life would simply cease. There you go, friends. 4 and 20 by Stephen Stills. Next on the list, a song that I learned in summer camp. I've been reading recently a biography of one of my biggest heroes in the whole music world. His name was John Duffy. And he died, 14 years ago. Far too young. He was only 62. And I'm 60. But I don't eat 4 to 6 eggs for breakfast with bacon every morning. And I don't smoke cigarettes, so likely I'll live a little past 62. But what I found out was that when the Country Gentlemen were playing on M Street in Georgetown at the Shamrock, right down the street, I knew about the Cellar Door. I used to go see bands there. But this was before I was able to go. I was just a little child. But the Country Gentlemen would go see whoever was playing at the Cellar Door, and some of the acts that would go from the Cellar Door to check out the Country Gentlemen, who were the hottest, the only progressive bluegrass band of the time, really. And John Duffy apparently developed a good relationship with Ian Tyson of Ian and Sylvia. I'm surprised they didn't do more of the Ian and Sylvia songs. This is one that I learned in summer camp. And Tony Rice has a really outstanding version on one of his records with a gorgeous solo on a soprano saxophone, I believe. Really nice, really nice. Four strong winds that blow lonely, 7 seas that run high, all these things that don't change, come what may. But our good times are all gone, and I'm bound for moving on. I'll look for you if I'm ever back this way. I think I'll go out to Alberta. Weather's good there in the fall. Got some friends there I could go to working for. Still, I wish you'd change your mind if I asked you one more time. But we've been through that 100 times or more. get there before the snow flies. And if things are looking good, you could meet me if I'd send you down the fair. But by then it would be winter and not much for you to do. And the nights sure get lonely way out there. Four strong winds that blow lonely, seven seas that run high, all these things that don't change, come what may. But our good times are all gone, and I'm bound for moving on. I'll look for you if I'm ever back this way. Four strong winds. Oh, there you have it, friends, a tender ballad. And that's going to do it for the spontaneous part of the BanjerDan's show for today, the BanjerDan's Shelter at Home show number 15. Thank you so much, friends, for hanging out with me. I'm going to close out with the two songs that I am used to closing out with. I suppose it behooves me to one more time show you my PayPal account is dan@banjerdan.net. That's also my email address. And if you use Venmo and you'd like to tip me, thank you very much. It's at Dan-Mazer-1. I have a Patreon, which I just established and which will have content very soon. Here's a song that was written by Tim O'Brien, and it means a whole lot to me just because I'm such a lucky person, and I think that we can, every one of us who has food on our plate and a warm place to sleep, maybe an extra $1 or $2 in the bank to give to a musician. Not just me, there's a whole lot of musicians out there who could use your support. So if you're among the people like me who is that lucky, then you know that you can look around, whatever you have, and think, I have things that I don't need. I have stuff that I don't need, and how lucky is that to actually have things that you don't need, to be able to think that I could use less and less than what I have. So Tim O'Brien, thank you so much for this song. Thank you, Scotty Conroy and Debbie Annan, and to Shorty Hale. You're the folks who keep coming back. Irene, thank you, darling. Really appreciate that. Here it is by Tim O'Brien. This is called Less and Less. travel around with less and less. I've tried them all, and the simple way is the way that's best. I save a lot of time not having to choose what color shirt to wear, which pair of shoes. Don't need a guitar to sing my song. Wherever I land, I'll always get along. I've been up and down the road a time or two, I guess. Now I try to travel around with less and less. I had a woman once, she was not my wife. I took a long detour on that road of life. I carried that weight, it nearly broke my back. I almost lost the lungs I loved, getting back on track. I wasted lots of time and I still feel the pain. Made a vow I won't go through that again. I've been up and down the road a time or two, I guess. Now I try to travel around with less and less. Coffee in the morning, roll a joint at night. A meal somewhere in the middle, I think I'll be alright. I've got my pride, I've got a smile to greet the day. I've got a friend or two to help me through when I lose my way. Don't need a guitar to sing my song. Wherever I land, I know I'll get along. I've been up and down the road a time or two, I guess. Now I try to travel around with less and less. I've been up and down the road a time or two, I guess. And now it's time to travel around with less and less. Thank you, friends. Scotty said something else, what? Thank you. Thank you, Scotty. Tim O'Brien is the man. There are very few people in the whole entertainment world that intimidate me just by existing, and Tim O'Brien is one of them. I've run into him a few times. I've chatted with him. He actually once initiated a conversation with me about a rather delicate subject, and I was honored that he would trust me with that. But I don't know him well. And he's just one of these people. He's so talented, and I've been watching him and admiring him for so long that whenever I'm around him, I just don't even know what to say half the time. But anyway, that's Tim O'Brien. If I was half the singer-songwriter he was, I might have a quarter of the success and fame that he has, and he certainly deserves every bit of it. But I have written one song, at least, that I'm pretty happy with. It's one of my most recent songs. It's my rockin' banjo Buddhist, what else would I say about it? It's a song about mortality. It's an existential song because it tells you that you're responsible for your own choices, your own feelings. You have foreknowledge of your own mortality, and you can either go nuts about it or you can just be happy anyway, and that's what I choose. Here's my song. It's called The Longer You Live. Friends, thank you very much for hanging out with the BanjerDan's show. Remember, wow, banjos rock! Well, the longer you live, the more people you're gonna see die. And the longer you live, the more tears you're gonna cry. You live, the more you're gonna feel sorrow and pain. So you might as well accept it, or else it just might drive you insane. The longer you live, the more people gonna break your heart. And the longer you live, the more that's just the suit or you'll be under the dirt. That's why we dance now. How they rig the game. And the longer you live, you see it always turns out the same. Well, the longer you live, the more you're tempted to give up and give in. But you're better off deciding to fight until the bitter end. You know why? Because the longer you live, the more babies you're gonna see born. And the longer you live, another sunrise and beautiful morn. Another night to gaze and wonder at the heavens above. And the longer you live, the more chances that you have to make love. That does it for my show. Number 15, folks. Thank you for hanging out with me. I am going to repeat the first verse of this song. I need you to shout into your computer the last couple of words of every line at me. And when I get to the part about going insane, please give me some insane laughter, won't you? Please? I know you will. Well, the longer you live, the more people you're gonna see die. Gonna see die. And the longer you live, the more tears you're gonna cry. Well, the longer you live, the more you're gonna feel heartache and pain. So you might as well accept it, or else it just might drive you insane. Yeah, you might as well accept it, or else it just might drive you insane. Yeah, you might as well accept it, or else it just might drive you insane. Wow! Banjos rock! Thank you and good afternoon, friends and neighbors. Can I push a button? Maybe I can't. Wow, this is interesting. It's not letting me stop. Thank you, Scotty. I tried to play fret 25 there, Scotty. I don't have that. I only got 24. Very good, though. Very good noticing that. I'm impressed. Let me see if I can get this thing to turn off. Very odd. I'm going to try pushing this button one more time. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to have to go like this. Changes might not be saved. Ah, this is driving me nuts. I don't want to lose this video. Changes might not be saved. Ah, this is driving me nuts. I don't want to lose this video. There we go.